evening, ladies and gentlemen. Prime Minister Modi has set the Lakshman Rekha for Terroristan. We will spare you, but just for now. Be warned, this is not the end. A clear and unambiguous message to Pakistan: Operation Sindoor has just been suspended. You step 1 inch out of that understanding and you will be dealt with an iron fist. Prime Minister Modi has revealed that not only did Pakistan's air bases get reduced to mangled mess, their terror dens crushed to death. Their DGMO made frantic calls for mercy to to India, and India set the preconditions for ceasefire. If Pakistan uses terror to attack India again, it will be seen as an act of war, and India will act on our own terms, in our own way. We will destroy you is the message. Nuclear blackmail no longer will be an issue that will hold us back. It may impress the world, but India is certainly not impressed with it. There will be no delinking of the river water and blood. There will be no delinking of terror and talks. If there is terror, there are no talks. The only talks with Pakistan would be on terror and on POK. That is the bottom line that has been put out by Prime Minister Modi just minutes ago. This is Naya Bharat, which will not cower to Pakistan's bluff. We will not bend under global pressure either. Any act of terror will be an act of war against Bharat. No compromise on nation first. Let's listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
जब पाकिस्तान की तरफ से गुहार लगाई गई, पाकिस्तान की तरफ से जब ये कहा गया कि उसकी ओर से आगे कोई आतंकी गतिविधि और सैन्य दुस्साहस नहीं दिखाया जाएगा, तो भारत ने भी उस पर विचार किया। और मैं फिर दोहरा रहा हूं, हमने पाकिस्तान के आतंकी और सैन्य ठिकानों पर अपनी जवाबी कार्रवाई को अभी सिर्फ स्थगित किया है। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ने आतंक के खिलाफ लड़ाई में एक नई लकीर खींच दी है। पहला, भारत पर आतंकी हमला हुआ तो मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया जाएगा। हम अपने तरीके से, अपनी शर्तों पर जवाब देकर रहेंगे। दूसरा, कोई भी न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल भारत नहीं सहेगा। तीसरा, हम आतंक की सरपरस्त सरकार और आतंक के आकाओं को अलग अलग नहीं देखेंगे। निश्चित तौर पर ये युग युद्ध का नहीं है, लेकिन ये युग आतंकवाद का भी नहीं है। भारत का मत एकदम स्पष्ट है। टेरर और टॉक एक साथ नहीं हो सकते। टेरर और ट्रेड एक साथ नहीं चल सकते, और पानी और खून भी एक साथ नहीं बह सकता।
Joining me on the news hour tonight, former Air Chief Marshal RKS Bhadoria. Good evening to you, sir. Also joining me, Ambassador Yash Sinha, Anand Ranganathan, my friend, analyst. We have Major Gaurav Arya joining the news hour tonight, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, and Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP. Air Chief Marshal, let me come to you first. How do you read the Prime Minister's speech? The red lines very clear. We are not going to listen to any of these nuclear blackmails. What's the message to Pakistan? What's the message to the world?
I think it's a very massive policy statement against terrorism for the future as to how we are going to deal. Very clear. You see, we can keep discussing on panels, new red line, nuclear blackmail, but when it comes from Prime Minister, it is a different meaning, and this is what is going to be followed. That no acceptance of terror, it will be an act of war, or every act will be responded at the time of our choosing. Every statement made there is so categorical, and Pakistan has been put on notice. And I would say the world has been put on notice that this is what we are going to do. There is no doubt about how we are going to deal with terror. And most importantly, what is coming out is that Indus Valley, the water treaty, that will stay, stay in abeyance. More importantly, Operation Sindoor is not yet over. If they do another act, it will be responded immediately. Also, very important, it is no longer terrorist infrastructure which is in the dock, which is on the target. Supporting measures, that means Pakistan Army and ISI are directly on the target list now, as far as I can see, because for an act of war, for any terror act, response can be against terror infrastructure. And the moment it is proven, obviously, that it is supported by ISI and Pakistan Army, they can get targeted. So it's a massive change. I think it is, for the future, it is redefined how we will act in the future.
Well, Major Gaurav Arya, what are your takeaways from the Prime Minister's speech? Many people were extremely worried that we hadn't spoken. There were statements coming out of Pakistan. US President Donald Trump had made his statement. The point, has it all been put to rest by the Prime Minister today when he made and draw the red lines and also said that state sponsorship of terrorism was proven and unmasked before the world?
No, absolutely, Navika. I think he could not have been more categorical, and this is a huge policy shift. And when the Prime Minister of India says it, I mean, there is none higher. Now, the thing about nuclear blackmail is something that I'd like to reiterate here, what he said about nuclear blackmail. And this is exactly what happened after 26/11 when the Air Force said we are ready. Give us the orders, we are ready, and we backed off. At the back of our minds was the fact that, hey, they have nuclear weapons. That's number one. Number two, even in Kargil, 1998, Pakistan conducted nuclear tests. We had conducted it before them. And that was one of the basic things that, you don't cross the line of control while chasing back. They crossed the line of control. They came into our AOR, area of responsibility. They occupied our peaks. But we did not cross the line of control because we thought that it would lead to a nuclear escalation of some sorts. This time, Prime Minister has said, it does not matter. Essentially what he was saying, not in words, he says, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता अगर तुम्हारे पास न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स हो तो किसी को 2 रुपए का फर्क नहीं पड़ता अगर तुम कोई गलत काम करोगे आतंकवादी गतिविधि होगी हम तुम्हारे घर के अंदर घुस के मारेंगे and this is what he pretty much said that your essentially what is a nuclear weapon? It is not something you use, it is a deterrent. A nuclear weapon is a deterrent. What he has done is taken away their nuclear power from them. He says it's no longer a deterrent for me. I will hit you where I want to hit you. Islamabad done, Rawalpindi done, Lahore, Hyderabad. You tell me where I want. Karachi done. It's done. We will hit you. We will hit you. And that bogey with which Pakistan used to scare the world every time. And the Indian establishment would say, no. Let them do whatever they want. If we respond, they go nuclear. Prime Minister Modi pretty much said that, listen, I don't care. You do what you want to do. This is my policy and this is what I'm going to do.
Absolutely. Ambassador Yash Sinha, the role played by foreign powers completely decimated because President Donald Trump on Saturday said he'd got them together. Today he says he helped them get together. The Prime Minister has made it clear. The first call actually came in from the DGMO of Pakistan wanting to set aside the war because 13 places were targeted, many air bases completely blown away. Pakistan was the one running helter-skelter to try and get a reprieve?
Absolutely. In fact, what is not known is that General Asim Munir actually dialed Rubio, not the other way around, because the attacks on the 10th that we carried out were decimated their confidence. You're about the damage.
You're breaking big news. Asif Munir, the Pakistan general, actually called the United States seeking help.
Because there was earlier talk with Mr. Ishaq Dar, the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, but you know that a civilian government in Pakistan doesn't count for anything. So the real power is the army chief. But after our devastating attacks, I know it's not exactly my subject, but I want to just mention that the psychological impact of hitting Noor Khan base, and I'm reading why I'm saying it, but I've landed 6 times in the PAF base there from 1st January 94 subsequently. And Air Chief Marshal Noor Khan was my landlord for 3 years in Islamabad. He must be turning in his grave because the sort of...
You look like a happy tenant.
So he was a very fine man, I must say that, a gentleman from RIMC Dehradun, a thorough gentleman and a hero. So let's grant that. But what the Indian Air Force or the Army and the armed forces have done is incredible. They never expected it. I mean, Sargodha, you've got Rahim Yar Khan, you've got Rawalpindi, the international airport is there, the co-located with the PAF base. So it has had a huge psychological impact, and I guess that's when they decided that they won't be able to last.
Well, and all the lies, what did they amount to, Abhijit Iyer Mitra? Because all along Pakistan was using this bogey that they are supported by China, they have the Middle Eastern countries supporting them, United Nations will, United States will always be there. They also at this moment have a trump card in the United Nations, so they thought they were invincible. Why then did they go running? And does the Prime Minister's statement today settle all of these questions just in the matter of 15 minutes?
It does, and I'll tell you why. See, the main thing out here is America is the one that matters. See, a UN Security Council can't do anything without America. None of these other countries can really do anything without America. Now, the message, let's understand, there were 2 messages sent out to Trump in this message today without naming him. The first one is that terror and talks can't go together. So you will not sit us down and make us talk to Pakistan as long as terror continues. The second thing was a direct response to Trump's speech 20 minutes back. He also said terror and trade can't go together. So if you're going to back up Pakistan and say, oh, you have to do trade, if you want trade with us, you can't hit Pakistan, that is also not going to happen anymore. So there was a message to America here also. The message to Pakistan was, no, there will be no more water if there is blood. He has now very clearly indicated it is not just a suspension of the treaty. We are most probably going to start beginning diversionary works on those rivers. ठीक है, 15-20 साल लग जाएगा. But it is going to happen. The other very important things that have happened out here is, as Air Marshal Bahaduria said, we have basically torn all the old books on escalation dynamics in South Asia. We have torn it up, उसकी चिता जला दी है और उसका जो राख है वो हमने उनको पेश किया है. They can do what they want now. They are not going to get anything. And the point now is, understand what kind of a rhetorical trap Trump has fallen into. He has said permanent ceasefire. He's made all these tall claims. Tomorrow, we know the Pakistanis. See, I may not, if you're a congressperson, you don't trust Modi. If you are a Democrat, you don't trust Trump. I can tell you, I trust the Pakistanis more than my own government to screw up. There is no permanent pathological screw up than the Pakistanis. They will do it again and again and again and again. I trust them 100% to bring about this situation, maybe even within the next few weeks.
Well, Anand Ranganathan, there was a lot of talk about narrative building. Pakistan is snatching the narrative. That was the vein in which, our domestic audiences were thinking. Our political parties in the straight, no nuclear blackmail, terror and talks cannot go hand in hand, terror and trade cannot go hand in hand. And if we are talking to Pakistan, anytime. It will only be on terror. It will only be on POK, nothing else. Message to America as well, and all the shenanigans of China also responded to by going eloquent on the manner in which our defense forces have flattened so many locations, so many installations in Pakistan. Message to the world?
Good evening, Navika, and good evening to my fellow panelists, many of whom are really, it's an honor and a privilege to be standing with them and standing with Abhijit. No, I'm grouping Abhijit with all of them, and I feel like Abhijit inside. You know, like that famous Oscar speech. I really feel like jumping up and down and saying what with words only he can express. But I like to say a couple of things. Number one, this is a watershed moment. Make no mistake. This is almost as it happens today is Buddha Purnima. This is the second version of Smiling Buddha, and you know what the first version was. In warning Pakistan to not cross a line, we have crossed a line, and it is remarkable. This line that we have crossed should have been crossed in 1960 when we signed the Indus Water Treaty. It should have been crossed in 1948 when, despite protestations of Sardar Patel, we gave Pakistan 55 crores and they used it in a war against us. This line should have been crossed in 1971 when we bartered without any thought 93,000 prisoners of war without getting anything in return. This line should have been crossed, but it has been crossed today. And who has crossed it? Please remember, and I speak as an Indian, Narendra Modi has crossed it. It is remarkable. 4 things have happened simultaneously, and I'm not even talking about what the DGMO has been telling the world over the past 2 days, that Tara Sotram is resonating loud and clear around the world. What Narendra Modi has told us in no unequivocal terms is that that nuclear bluff lies crunched up and in a nearest trash can, possibly forever. They are going to try and hit us one more time, and we are going to go after them. And I don't want to speculate, because that is in the realms of people who are experts or diplomats, as to what exactly happened on those hills where the nuclear arsenal of Pakistan is supposed to be hidden away under those hills. I don't want to speculate there. But the fact of the matter is, once that bluff goes away, what is left of Pakistan? Indus Water Treaty was left of Pakistan. Even that has been taken away. And I appeal fervently to keep Indus Water Treaty in abeyance till such time it is completely redrawn and revised. And it doesn't matter whether the revised version is signed by Pakistan or not. Keep it in abeyance, because that is one lasso that we have round the neck of Pakistan, that the tightest possible leash, peaceful leash. The third is, and on a lighter note, the Gujarati in Prime Minister Modi could not help but advertise the Make in India and the weapons. This is a tectonic shift.
And proudly so. Proudly so, because our defense systems have really stood us in good stead. And BrahMos, our Akash Tir, everything.
And you know, people might say why Trump is getting a bit fidgety. One of those reasons, as is open to again speculation, is because the world is seeing the weapons that we have and the weapons that Pakistan used of various other countries. It is a no-brainer. And in coming days and years and weeks, I think, as the Prime Minister said, the real investment is going to be in the defense sector. And the fourth most important point, finally, just 10 seconds, is this new doctrine that I said has crossed a line. An act of terror is going to be equated with an act of war. Now, of course, it needs to be seen how soon. I hope we don't implement all these things, especially the fourth one, very soon, because that depends on Pakistan. If Pakistan dares to attack us again, it has it coming.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you, Shehzad Poonawalla. Shehzad Poonawalla, the opposition in India, of course, looking to score political points, last 2 days kept talking about the fact that the country is missing Indira Gandhi, and 1971, when Pakistan was divided into 2 parts, Bangladesh today and Pakistan there. How does Prime Minister Modi's statement today actually give a befitting reply to all the domestic criticism that has come in?
Look, those who are now using this occasion to remember Indira Gandhi, although 1971 and 2025 parallels cannot be drawn, and Dr. Shashi Tharoor has spoken about that, should only answer that why didn't they remember Indira Gandhi after 26? After the series of blasts that took place in Bengaluru, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Coimbatore, Hyderabad, Varanasi, Lucknow, I can go on and on. Where was Indira Gandhi's doctrine then? Why did the Congress party forget them? So having said that, look, what has happened now is what I call is the state policy has been constructed, which is called the Sindoor Doctrine, कि तुम सिंदूर उजाड़ोगे, हम वजूद मिटा देंगे. घर में घुस के मारेंगे, गोली का जवाब गोले से देंगे. And there's a very important point to this, that is that it has been institutionalized, whether it was a surgical strike, then it was the Balakot air strike, and now the actions have been taken in Pahalgam. Now, if you just notice what we have done, we have not just targeted the areas around POK, but let me just give you, Sukur base is 225 kilometers. Rahim Yar Khan is 175 kilometers. Noor Khan is 150 to 160 kilometers. We've also been able to strike certain air defense installations within Karachi in one of the cantonment areas. So obviously it shows our superior air quality. The attack systems that we have, that Mr. Bhadoria has been instrumental in devising for us. Then it also shows that when they attacked us with cheap Chinese rockets like Hamas style rockets or the cheap Turkish drones, none of them could come into our area because of our impregnable defense systems, which are not just based on the S-400s, but also on an indigenous system that has been created. Also, we've shifted the needle on IWT, and that has been done inalienably. So now we cannot go back on that. We've called out the nuclear bluff and blackmail, but there are 2 points which have not been covered by this esteemed panel. One, that Prime Minister has made now very clear that there's no distinction between terror and terror ka aka. You see, it started off with action on terror. Legitimately, we acted on the terrorists. And by the way, there is no good terror, bad terror. America realized that much later. How come there is good action on terror when you take Osama bin Laden out? How come there is good action on terror when Israel goes after Hamas in Gaza? But there is bad action on terror when India goes after these terrorists in various camps which have been operating from 20 years, and killing whom? Killing American citizens in 26/11, killing Daniel Pearl through IC-814 hijacking guy coming out, killing American, Israeli and other citizens. So we actually should be complimented and lauded by all the world powers for doing their dirty work. We went in and actually got justice for Daniel Pearl, and I think his father spoke to you. Yes. So finally, one is that we have now made very clear that there is no distinction between terror and terror backers, whether it is the government or whether it's the armed forces. If you give a patronage to terror, or if you come and celebrate or you come and participate in the funeral of terrorists, then you are also marked as a terror sponsor, point number one. And point number two is that now we are very clear that we are going to dictate the terms as per our, there's no ceasefire. Let's be very clear. There is only a understanding. It is a temporary understanding. This temporary understanding will be suspended the moment Pakistan thinks of even firing one bullet. Let's be very clear. If they fire a bullet, they will get something in return. So,
and
we are not on a ceasefire.
And that's the point I want to pick up. I want to come, Abhijit Iyer Mitra. It's a suspension of Operation Sindoor, not an end.
That he said very clearly, ye vilamb hai. He didn't say ceasefire or anything, but vilamb hai. He said it was a pause. But we're getting reports now, the DC of Amritsar, Deputy Commissioner of Amritsar has said that there is a blackout happening right now. Switch off your lights and move away from your windows. Stay calm. Again? We will inform you, yes, again. This is happening just now. The Indigo flight has been turned around. I'm looking at this at flight radar. If you want to zoom in, the Indigo flight has been turned around.
This is important.
Yeah, the Indigo flight has been turned around.
Okay.
Oh my God, from Amritsar.
From Amritsar. So they're turning around all flights from Amritsar right now. So I don't know if it is drones or what, but this is the situation as of now.
So you're saying Amritsar, we're still hearing that there is a blackout, and we are also hearing that an Indigo flight has been turned back. We're trying to confirm that. Abhijit, looking at the flight data, and we'll try and get our reporters from there. But Gaurav Arya, suspension, not end of Operation Sindoor is also a big message. What is the message that's hidden in this? Because after the ceasefire, how much Pakistan actually, to those who have been saying that America is brokered, they've told us, they've told Pakistan. Well, 3 hours after Trump's tweet that day, there were drones that were coming in. There was ceasefire violations that were happening. So Trump and its intervention went down the tube that day itself. Now the Prime Minister making it clear, one more misadventure and we are at your throats. How seriously do you view this and how would you analyze?
No, absolutely brilliant, because Trump was chest thumping all the way that there is a ceasefire now. And suddenly the Prime Minister goes against what Donald Trump said and said, no, this is not a ceasefire. It's a pause, right? We're waiting for Pakistan. Let's see what Pakistan does. We are locked and cogged. There is a bullet in the breech. And if Pakistan misbehaves, we will pull the trigger. So, I mean, why do you have the DGMOs and their equivalents of the Air Force and the Navy out in front of the media? Because our Rafales and our Sukhois and our all of the Air Force platforms are absolutely ready even today. The pilots are there. They're ready, locked and cogged. The army is ready. And by the way, INS Vikrant, to the best of my knowledge, has not moved out of the Arabian Sea. It is right there. So if Pakistan misbehaves, then I don't know, because maybe God will bless Pakistan, certainly Modi will not.
Well, I don't know, but precautionary steps in Amritsar for now, that's what it's being called, blackout in Amritsar. DC Amritsar says don't panic at all. This is by way of abundant caution. Stay calm and we will inform when ready to restore power supply. For now, a blackout in Amritsar. ANI is also reporting that red streaks have been seen and explosions heard as India's air defense intercepts Pakistani drones in Samba sector. Those visuals on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, and you can see some of those red streaks in the air coming in from Samba sector. RKS Bhadoria ji, this clearly being looked at closely. What is Pakistan up to?
Absolutely. I think what would have happened is our air defense network would have picked up this drone activity or some hostile act along with this drone, and that's why the Indigo flight has been turned back. So that coordination exists between our air defense network and civil aviation. Since the firing is already on, that means they are already in our airspace. Otherwise, this firing wouldn't take place after the ceasefire. So that is the other one. And the issue of suspension and our ability to revoke of Sindoor, I think it is important. This is a minor one. I don't know what the extent of it. If it increases, we have straight away kept the right to respond with ourselves. So the initiative to respond is no longer waiting for terror attack. No. It is waiting for a violation. So if the violation is enough, or suppose there is a loitering munition which actually attacks one of your and create any sort of damage, we can decide. Yeah. If there is a firing across LOC technically, and we say, okay, this is beyond acceptable regime, maybe we will target Sargodha again. So the initiative is back to us.
One thing the Prime Minister said very categorically is that while we are suspending this, we are also going to test Pakistan on the commitments that their DGMO has made. And on the basis of that, we are going to verify. We are not trusting without verification. First, there was, that Aman ki Asha. Now it is Brahmos ki Bhasha. Aman ki Asha is gone. Brahmos ki Bhasha hai, and that means we will trust, but we will verify and trust. And if you show any actions which are not in consonance with your word, then we have the right to respond. Secondly, the world must also see right now, Pakistan is so besharam that it uses civilian aircrafts to shield its nefarious activities. Knowing very well that we would have responded to their drones, etc., it keeps its aircrafts flying. So this is the time for the world to wake up that there is no distinction between Pakistan and the terrorists.
Well, Abhijit, you have some more information coming in before I pull out the 13 targets that our Air Force targeted. You have some information.
Not information. I just wanted to buttress what the Air Chief Marshal said. You see, we didn't respond to Riyasi, which happened in November last year. We responded to Pahalgam. What we have said is the right of interpretation is exclusively ours. No international community, nobody else is going to interpret what our thresholds are. We will determine. Ek banda bhi marega, we might interpret it that way and go and do what we have to do.
I want to also bring up the Kirana Hills. There has been a lot of speculation, reports coming from the Western media, and what they have said is that there was some nuclear ammunition and nuclear storage facility, but no confirmation coming in from India. But missile attack happening in the Kirana Hills. What does it mean? I just want to play out the soundbite of A.K. Bharti, the DG of the Air Force first, because the body language there, the smile there clearly gave some message there. First, let's play that out and we'll come back to this.
Thank you for telling us that Kirana Hill houses some nuclear installation. We did not know about it. Okay. And we've not hit Kirana Hills, whatever is there. Okay. I did not brief in my briefing yesterday. Thank you.
So he said, आपने हमें बताया नहीं था, हमें पता भी नहीं था. So there was a sense of some humor that he brought in.
Yeah.
Clearly,
तुम्हारा नाम क्या है बसंती?
well, how do you interpret that?
No, I think he had that mysterious smile on his face and he said, now for him at his level to say that he does not know what is in the Kirana Hills, it's
and his
funny.
smile gave it away.
Yeah, he knows everything, obviously. He knows everything. At his level, he would know everything. And he knows, and I mean, we can't say for sure, but maybe, just maybe somebody hit it.
Somebody hit?
Yeah.
Which part would we have hit, Air Chief Marshal?
No, we should be very clear. We know about their nuclear installations, places, etc. And it would not have been a mission to hit their nuclear installation. Let's be very clear.
Okay.
Be very clear. So it would not be a planned attack. If there is an explosion within there, there is something that has gone wrong there. If there is a radar close by, maybe, but even that will be very cautious. To my knowledge and whatever I have seen, I don't think that is the case. However, their tentacles would have gone in for the kind of damage and widespread damage and the reach and the kind of weapon we used in the 11 targets, the kind of weapons and the damage. So it was just a trailer of things that can happen. And every such target could have been in our reach when the time comes.
But then
this wasn't the time.
The New York Times says that it was Pakistan that went yelling to the United States because they felt their nuclear facilities were on target. And let's listen into what President Donald Trump said just a few minutes ago. And then I'm coming to you, Abhijit. Let's listen in.
We helped a lot. And we helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. And we stopped the nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war. Millions of people could have been killed.
So he does say, Abhijit, that there was a lot of nuclear weapons. They're both wanting to get into a nuclear war and too much happening over there. What did he mean?
So I think it was an allusion to it. He didn't say it, he alluded to it. But can I just again back up what the Air Chief Marshal said? See, on the 1st of January, there is the nuclear agreement between the two countries, non-attack agreement, where we exchange a list of sites. If this was a nuclear site, the Pakistanis have put it down on paper and given it to us, and it is, as per treaty, excluded from attack. Okay. So if it has been attacked, it is most probably they, damaged the control surfaces of one of our other missiles and it's gone and landed out there. It is definitely not a deliberate strike if they didn't inform us about it. Now, if they didn't inform us about it, किसकी गलती है? अगर मिसाइल को तुम्ही ने डैमेज किया, किसकी गलती है? It is your fault.
पर वो अपनी गलती मानता कब है?
हाँ, वो दूसरी बात है. Second is, there's lots of rumors going. See, both, it's not just New York Times, even CNN. Everybody is going after Nick Robertson for saying that India contacted. No. Nick Robertson said the Pakistani source said the Indians contacted us. Their own write-up denies that. It says the Pakistanis contacted us. New York Times, imagine New York Times, nobody's more anti-India than New York Times here. Third, if there is, let us just go by all this thing we're hearing, boron things coming, National Nuclear Security Administration sending a plane out there. See, if it is radioactivity that is being detected in the atmosphere, it is most probably a civil site, because that is the danger of this thing. Military grade uranium plutonium is highly refined. It does not pose this kind of danger. So I don't know what is out there. Maybe it's a hidden site which they didn't disclose to us, but if they've disclosed it to us, understand.
CNN, New York Times seem to be certain that something's happened there, and that's when Pakistan got spooked.
We are not Pakistanis. We don't lie like them. Aaj dekha na uski kya bezati hui. He held up that card saying, oh, you know, the Indians have said this fellow is, he's not Rauf Masood, and they put out his card. The card's number, when Indian OSINT cross-checked it with the Pakistani database, said Rauf Masood. इतनी बेइज्जती भरी महफिल में आपने कभी देखा है?
हाँ, और जलील होना,
बहुत और जलील होना।
नाविका सिंह, हाँ मैंने देखा है।
मैंने देखा है, and बेइज्जती उनकी होती है जिनकी initially कोई इज्जत हो. So you know, Pakistan is not a nation where credibility or self-respect is really taken very seriously. Yes, Air Chief Marshal.
Yeah, I would just wanted to say that whatever nuclear illusion, I think it is more because of the you know, nuclear saber rattling that Pakistan was doing. These weapons are not for show, we would use it, all that. And I think although we are saying a lot about President Trump, we should give him some breathing space, in the sense that I don't think he realizes what Pakistan is dealing with, and the kind of duplicity that they do. And I think his own deep state has taken him for a ride in terms of the facts of the case. Deep state is deeply embedded with Pakistan, historically. Now they are turning around, hopefully. Most of the core strength of Pakistan, they have built up. They have given them the most advanced of weapons in the name of Afghanistan, and that is what gives them strength to be able to support their terrorism against us. So their deep state is well aware of what they're doing for reasons to get support in Afghanistan. They had their own reasons. But they need to turn around, and I think he will realize what he's been saying.
Well, whether he does or not is really questionable, but Ambassador Yash Sinha.
You know, even the phone call that J.D. Vance made to our Prime Minister, there was no mention of nuclear escalation or any of that. There was mention of a conflagration going up the escalatory ladder, something big would happen. So the Pakistanis are very careful with their messaging. And if I may touch on the issue of mediation, because that's something that we really need to, a lot of speculation going on. It was very clear that India did not accept. India didn't even contact the US. It was the Pakistanis who went running. And if you recall, the US inserts itself, whether it was Kargil, whether even Balakot, they come to advise caution and they try and talk to both parties. But that is not really mediation. And as far as Pakistan is concerned, they want to internationalize Kashmir and get the US to mediate. But we are not going to accept that. After all, when there is a mediation, both parties have to accept it. And we are very clear on that we are not going to accept it. So I think we should allay those concerns that India...
Absolutely, and the Prime Minister was unambiguous today when he said only terror and only POK, and we will talk directly.
May I just add to this point to bolster so that viewers can understand what the difference is. Difference is that, you know, somebody saying that I intervene doesn't make the difference. We listen to 1A, that's the Awam. Somebody else listens to Allah and America, that's their problem. Point is that when is it called mediation or intervention? When Nehruji takes the Kashmir issue to United Nations against Patelji's wishes. When you go to Tashkent to sign a deal brokered by the Soviet Union. Or when the IWT, for instance, was brokered by the World Bank. But today, look what has happened. Ajay Banga has said World Bank has nothing to do with the IWT. Bharat jane, Pakistan jane. So in contrast, actually, forget intervention. We are now at a situation where we are telling this is our business. There are only two aspects to discuss upon. One is vacation of Pakistan occupied Kashmir by Pakistan, and second is end of terrorism from Pakistan.
Absolutely, but let me also show you, and Abhijit and Gaurav, can I just draw your attention to the places where we've actually damaged Pakistan. Murid UAV command center, Gujranwala radar site, Sargodha runway completely gone, Lahore radar site, Chunia radar site. How important are these installations for the Pakistanis?
No, I think they're critical for the Pakistanis because they've been selected as targets by the Indian Air Force. So each and every site has been specially selected. Rafiqi Defense Infrastructure, Multan, Sakkar, radar site. And you see, they're all along one line like this. All hammered. If you look at them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they go right to it. It's one line.
And right up to Karachi.
Absolutely.
Right up to Abbottabad when it went on day one. And here the Noor Khan operation site.
Yes, that is Rawalpindi. and this Noor Khan Air Base. And if you see, it is in one line, all selected specifically by the Indian Air Force. And I mean, all these are critical. That is why the Indian Air Force hit them.
You should also point out how
Abhijit,
deep Jacobabad is.
Can I point out the two most important things in this? Number one is Sargodha. Yeah. It's their F-16 base. Now, when you've created their runway, और वो भी कैसे कर रखा है? ऐसे वाला क्रॉस वाला runway है, ठीक बीच में लगा के रखा है. ना ही तो ये use कर सकते हो, ना ही तो वो use कर सकते हो. ठीक है? So you've kind of, and you know, runways take about.
Let's show those pictures also of Sargodha.
A runway takes about minimum of 7 days for, you know, the reinforced concrete to be put in for it to cure, dry, everything. The second very important,
Yes, exactly, the Sargodha.
Yeah, dekho, right here. Now you tell me what self-respecting...
Neither can you use this, nor
can you use
and this is the
outer ring road.
सोच समझ के मारा है Air Force.
बहुत सोच समझ के मारा है. They literally put a target pinpoint for us and we obliged them. ठीक है?
Yes.
And the second one, if we can bring up, is the Noor Khan Air Base.
Noor Khan Air Base next on the screen.
Mr. Sinha's landlord.
This is Sargodha.
This is Sargodha. If we get the Noor Khan, the technical area attack out there.
Yes. Coming up in just a bit.
Yeah. Now, you know, Noor Khan is one of those other important air bases. The target selection was very important here. That technical area, there were pilots on high. Now, you know, if you destroy an aircraft, it takes about, say, 7 months to a year to build, and then say another 6 months to calibrate, test, and all of that. You kill pilots. It takes 10 to 15 years to train up a good pilot.
Yes.
Okay.
You kill
so
technicians.
have we destroyed that training base? Or you're not saying anything?
Look, bring up the images.
Do we have to read it in the New York Times now?
No. If you bring up the image, I'll show you. The technical area is the muster area.
Noor Khan Air Base.
Noor Khan. So if you look here,
this is the before and this is
the after. But anyway, the area we hit in Noor Khan was the technical area, which was the master area for the technicians and the pilots for the pre-flight briefings and things like that. We have hit that. Now, it also had the mess out there. Now, you decide what has happened out there.
Well, we are deciding, but Anand Ranganathan.
I just wanted to make a point on, you know, a multi-billion dollar corporation that is Pakistan, even though it is rigged corporation. You look at the quality of their presentation yesterday. I mean, we have given proof after proof after proof in slide after slide after slide. They have not given a single slide, single proof of aircon, reconnaissance, or whatever before after. Not one. Worse, their PPT had those virus, appeals that. So even they were using the PPT that was also not bought through a correct.
And edited clips.
Edited clips. So, you know, they have this viral piece. This is the state of the country we are dealing with.
Well, so are they using Chinese PPT software apart from
Palika Bazaar se to nahi laye?
The issue, it is very serious. We've hit them hard. We've flattened on day one their terror camps. On day two, it is only after they attacked us with their drones, we went back.
Can you go on the main slide 1 second? Just the main slide where all the targets are there,
yes,
the targets we hit.
Yes,
Can you just see what PM said is that सीमा पर नहीं सीने पे मारा है. जकोबाबाद सीने पे है उनके.
Absolutely.
जकोबाबाद
We've gone
सीने
up
पे
to
है.
Karachi. Bhadoria sir.
Very important. All the radars and command and control centers are in the major area where we were wanting to build some hole in their detection networks. So it has been chosen because that is where most of the action would concentrate. Should it continue to escalate, and that is also close to their nerve centers. So we had actually made them blind in that area. If we had continued to go for further operations, it would have become more easier for our subsequent intrusions, subsequent our planes, etc. So it's very carefully chosen.
But I have one question. Can I
rest all airfields?
And I have a question of you.
Rest all airfields right across. So that was a message.
1 minute.
We can get everything, and just mind it, single wave. We hit 7.
Yes.
Single wave. Okay. And it was still very controlled. In a normal case, we would have done this thrice in one night itself. Just imagine the amount of damage. So they knew what we are capable of achieving and what kind of weapons we have today.
So one question, now that the world has seen, Pakistan has seen how we've devastated it, and now it's got time, shall we say, to rebuild and recoup, and it knows that the weapons that it had proved useless. what do you think its strategy would be? Would it try and procure weapons from a third country other than China? Or is that why America seems to be kind of, putting a hand on its shoulder? Or what's the strategy of Pakistan going to be for the next attack that is as sure as day going to come?
I think they would bank on China to give them more weapons, more advanced weapons, but there is always an issue of reliability on that side. They would want American weapons, but they don't have the wherewithal to pay for it. I don't think US at this stage and in this environment would give them grants or will give them loans or aids the way they've been giving earlier. If they happen to give, then it is just too bad. I don't think they'll be able to. So they will bank on Turkey, they will bank on China. On the other hand, when we do, we are going to be increasingly banking on our indigenous industry. All our counter systems was indigenous. All our radars today, our air defense network was spoken about when you talked about Atmanirbharta.
We also bank on Turkey and China to keep producing the same quality of weapons that they have supplied.
But China is improving. We should keep that in mind. China is improving.
More than the source of the drones, we should ask what is the source of Pakistan's delusion. I mean, they are celebrating. What are they celebrating about? मतलब घर लूट गया, सब कुछ तबाह हो गया, और वो delusion में बोल रहे हम लोग जीत गए जी, जीते हैं हम लोग, इंडिया को खत्म कर, इंडिया खत्म हो गया.
No, I have four big questions which I need answers to. In terms of assessment, I want to put the question number one to this August panel. Question number one, has India sent a message today to the world and to Pakistan that as far as India is concerned, it's not here to take intervention from anybody. It knows what its red lines are and it will deal with it. For all those who were saying that, we've been caught literally looking very weak without a strategy, how do you see that entire narrative being buried today?
Okay, first of all, I'd request for the map to be put. I want to explain something. That same map in which the targets were there, no? If you can put up the map, please.
Yellow.
Yes.
Okay. Now, targets are not required. Okay, you can put them up. No problem. If you see the map of Pakistan, and especially our western side and Pakistan's eastern side, you will realize that Pakistan is geographically very narrow. There is nothing in Pakistan. It's longish, but the breadth of Pakistan is narrow, and this is the main cause of insecurity of Pakistan, which is why it tries things like strategic depth, etc., terrorist outfits, etc. So when the Air Force hits, and when the Navy parks here, and when the Army hammers them along the line of control, the Pakistanis immediately start saying nuclear simply because they don't have space to fight. You need land to fight. Pakistan does not have land to fight. So when the Air Force hits them there, they start panicking because they don't have any depth. Depth है ही नहीं. इसके बाद यहाँ से अफगानिस्तान शुरू है. There is no depth. Balochistan, they can't do very much. वहाँ पे ईरान है. Where do they go? They don't have any other place to go. There is China, right? And there is India. And India starts hitting them. All they can do is move back. But move back till what? That is why this whole thing comes in, because they are geographically very narrow. It's like a sandwich.
Absolutely. Abhijit, do you think we've settled the narrative?
I think in the last 2 days we've more than settled the narrative. What yehi log jo during Shaheen Bagh were saying kagaz nahi dikhayenge, when Balakot happened they started saying photo dikhao. Then the photos were provided, they said, oh, these are only 3 holes, it means absolutely nothing. You've seen the kind of what we've shown. They're very precise strikes. You don't need to blow up an entire building to kill all the people within it, right? What have we ever said this time that has not been photographically substantiated by independent OSINT guys in addition to our own people?
Even Chinese.
Even the Chinese today have put out a tweet. Several tweets. The same satellite company, Vision or whatever, has put out several tweets validating everything that we've said. And you know why the Chinese have done it? They've done it to show that basically that, our weapons aren't bad. It's the morons operating our weapons that are bad.
Okay.
He's right. It's bad publicity. Why did the Prime Minister say that most of our weapons are made in India? He was pitching it to the world. Sab log kharido BrahMos, jisko kharidna hai, Pinaka kharidna hai, kharido. We have tested it in battle. Maybe not the Pinaka, but we have a wide array of weapons. What he's saying is exactly what the Prime Minister did.
Absolutely, and we don't have to put it out, on day one. अभी पिक्चर बाकी है. Do you think, Bhadoria ji, picture अभी बाकी है?
Picture abhi baki hai, and in terms of message, what you said to the world and the narrative, I think it is very, very clear that we will do the moment there is something that needs to be done. We will do. We are not going to ask the world. We are not going to bother about XYZ, and we are no longer preparing dossiers to take here and there. Now Pakistan can prepare dossiers of the targets we attacked and show to the whole
Remember
world.
the dossiers 2811 after.
I know we were playing dossier.
Well, he's saying he handed them over.
Ambassador Yassin.
So you asked that question, has India sent a message to the world in Pakistan? Most definitely, and today the PM articulated very clearly, because there is a new, after every terror attack, we have escalated or lowered the threshold of a robust response. And this time, the new normal is very clear. An act of terror is an act of war, and you bear the consequences. So I think that message has gone to Pakistan primarily, but to the rest of the world too. And our success in hitting targets deep inside Pakistan has obviously unsettled a lot of people.
Absolutely. I also, now, I want to come to the second question. The second question I want to ask Anand Ranganathan. Anand Ranganathan, the Prime Minister has said, we will choose our time and place, we will see your action, and we will decide on your action what kind of treatment we have to give you. Also, is there a message now given to the world that India, as far as its defense system is concerned, is not only superior, it is no longer a country that needs to shop from China or US or some of these big powers, which only because of the weapons that they make, the defense systems that they make, have been able to dictate to many countries in the world on what their policies should be?
100%. And let me kind of go back a little out here, because many people kind of philosophize this thing as to great institutions have been made in India that have resulted in this. Well, anybody who does science and engineering knows that institutes can crumble within a matter of a day. It is the people that makes the institutions, you know. And whatever Mr. Modi said today in his speech, I have to compliment Bharat Ratna Dr. Kalam, because back in the 1990s, in fact 1994, Air Chief Marshal would know, he identified this lacuna. He said, right now, 75% of our defense expenditure is on import equipment. I want in 30 years' time for the pie chart to be flipped. And right now, it is, I think, 71%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But it's not completely.
Abhijit,
it's not completely
you have some
flipped.
information coming in.
Quick update. Several flights from Amritsar have now been cancelled.
Oh my God.
MH118 to Kuala Lumpur, Air India 479 to Delhi, and Lion Air SL214 to Bangkok, all have been cancelled.
From Amritsar. We are also hearing that in Jalandhar there is a precautionary blackout that has been imposed, and this is just coming in. Important news also coming in at this point, that several flights from Amritsar, outside Amritsar, have been cancelled for now. Shehzad, what are we waiting for?
No, look, the terror graph of Pakistan has been that it wanted to target the Golden Temple. It targeted the Gurudwara. It wants to target Sikhs. It's very clear that time and again, if they're trying to target Amritsar, so maybe those who pitch and think that Khalistan's cause is being heralded by Pakistan should realize what they're doing, if these news reports are true. Secondly, on your first question that you asked the entire panel, I don't think this is just while it is a message to the world, it is a message to the world that, look, what did Prime Minister say? He said these are terror universities, global terror universities. None of these 9 camps that we've demolished have not produced a terrorist that has affected global security order. And therefore, it is for the world to realize that we haven't done just ourselves a favor. It's not about making Indians safe. We've made the globe safer by getting these 9 camps out. And therefore, it is a message that the world should now stand by us, like we've stood on the world with America for the world on terror. We've stood with the French when they wanted to take action post 2015. We've stood with the Israelis when they wanted to take action after 7 December. So it is incumbent for the global world order to now stand with us, and they should put Pakistan in the dock for supporting and patronizing terror, not question our actions against terror, which are justified under articles and conventions of the United Nations. We have every right to do what we are doing.
Absolutely. Once again, want to tell our viewers, red streaks seen and explosions heard in the Samba sector. That is what we had started with earlier when the show began. But we're also looking at the big message from the Prime Minister this evening, sending it absolutely unambiguously to the world that India is not going to back off. I once again want to ask the question. Not only are people in the opposition picking up Abhijit Iyer Mitra, the fact that US announced this first, Trump has been making statements. Is it now very clear that it was the Pakistanis who went running to the US and finally called the DGMO on the Indian number, and that's when the decision was taken, because Prime Minister said, ये युद्ध का समय नहीं है, लेकिन ये आतंक का भी समय नहीं है. Pakistan scurrying, reaching out for help.
Look, you heard the Prime Minister's speech today. Does he sound like anybody who's going to go scurrying to anybody? You heard all the DGMOs and armed forces personnel talk. Do they sound like they're going to go scurrying to anybody? No. The opposition's favorite newspaper, which they love quoting from, and TV channel which they love quoting from, New York Times and CNN, what are they saying? The Pakistanis went scurrying. Okay, don't listen to Modi's lying on everything. At least listen to your beloved New York Times, which you treat higher than the Bible, higher than the Gita, higher than the, Zendavesta, God knows what. I don't know, Rahul Gandhi one day is Parsi, one day he's Janodhari, Brahmin, pata nahi. Sab Zendavesta bhi bol diya aur wo bhi bol diya. Gita bhi bol diya.
Well, but ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to play out two pictures. Two pictures, especially with the context. And these pictures speak louder than 1,000 words. Watch these visuals of India's heroes, the two martyrs, Rifleman Sunil Kumar and Sub-Inspector Mohammad Imtiaz. They made the supreme sacrifice to protect their motherland, and on the other hand is Pakistan's hero, Hafiz Abdul Rauf, and a Lashkar terrorist, a mass murderer, and the mastermind of IC-814 hijacking. He is one of the 100 terrorists India killed. But he got a state funeral by Pakistan's army generals. So while India valorizes its slaves, for Pakistan, terrorists are their heroes. And that message should not be missed by the world. Their terrorists are wrapped up in their flag. Their generals salute them. In India, the braves stand in the way to protect 140 crore Indians. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the difference between India and Pakistan. For anybody who looks at these two nations as a geographical neighboring piece of land, get it into your head. We are chalk and cheese. We stand up for values. We fight terrorism on behalf of the world as much as we do it on behalf of the citizens. Pakistan, the only reason that it is known in the world is for exporting terrorists and terrorism. It is the only export from Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, from the United States right up to Japan, get that clear. This is India, a new India that sets up its own terms of engagement. Terror will not be tolerated. It will be an act of war. That's the bottom line. Thank you very much to all my panelists, and thank you, viewers, for joining me on the Newshour tonight.
You were watching the News Hour at 9.